What's good, peeps? Thanks always for passing by the channel. Much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. All right, for those of you that watch most of my videos, you would know that today, being Monday, because I don't know when this video is going up, I did say that I will have another interview of Sky Sports. I had it today. It wasn't even an interview like your traditional kind of sit-down interview. It was actually role play, which was very difficult. Can't lie to you, very, very difficult. It was actually done in, I don't know if you guys always watch Sky Sports, but it was actually done in the Gillette Soccer Saturday studio, which was interesting. Looks nothing like the way you think it looks like when you watch it at home. Nothing like that at all. But it was actually done there. And yeah, very tough, but interesting nonetheless. I think a few people have asked me what the role is. Nothing to do with boxing, by the way. Nothing at all. It's actually about football. So yeah, I'm not confident, but I guess we'll find out in a few days' time, right? Today being Monday, I expect to know by Friday. But there were a lot of good people there, so fingers crossed. Who knows, right? Who knows? All right, 1 second. I'll put that down. It's funny because everyone asked me about chocolate. People ask me to do like a chocolate video. This is, and this isn't a chocolate bar, but these little fuckers here, eclairs, my kryptonite. I'm not joking, my fucking kryptonite. I can eat the whole pack in one sitting and then just regret it after. Killers. All right, let's talk about CANELO, the pound for pound #1, which is not even up for dispute. If anyone is disputing that fact and you follow boxing, choose another sport. Go and follow badminton or something. It's not even up for dispute. I actually don't know or can't foresee how anyone in that top 5 actually does anything to even replace him right now. Honestly, I mean, unless Terence Crawford fights Errol Spence and beats him, yep, I think he will jump to #1, maybe. Even an argument could be made there, but I think he'll jump to #1. There is no one Loma can beat in and around his weight class right now, right? Even if Loma wins the fight, or the winner of the fight between Teofimo Lopez and Richard Comey, that doesn't take him to #1. Inoue smokes Donaire, doesn't take him to #1. I mean, if Usyk were to fight a Tyson Fury or Wilder, there's an argument there, right? But CANELO is #1 and #1 by some distance right now, by some bloody distance. We want to know though, what next, right? It's weird. I feel like boxers nowadays don't even get the opportunity to bathe in their glory. It's almost like a mic is thrusted right underneath their mouth immediately after they won. And the question is, who next? I guess that's the pressure that comes with being pound for pound #1, with being the man that has a contract worth $350 million. We want to know who next. We know when it's going to happen, right? Cinco de Mayo, that's CANELO's date, or at least it has been. That date has been adjusted and moved recently with him fighting in December and now in November, but he will fight again in May. Who next? CANELO, unlike any boxer, and I was thinking about this before doing the video, unlike any boxer that I can actually remember, has options in 3 weight classes, legit options in 3 weight classes. He is the man in 3 weight classes in terms of being the money man. Maybe not the best, and I don't think he is in 168 or 175, but he is the man, right? People want that phone call. And they want that phone call because it will be their biggest paycheck ever. Unless your name's Gennady Golovkin, you wouldn't have earned anywhere near what you get for fighting CANELO. I think Kovalev proved that on the weekend. Kovalev got what we're hearing, $12 million. I mean, his highest probably before that might have been the Yard fight, right? We're led to believe that Yard got, I don't know, 3 to 4 million. I expect Kovalev to have got double that. And maybe the Andre Ward fight, but he wouldn't have got anywhere near 12. And I don't think anyone, again, fighting right now, unless you're GGG, would have got anywhere near or will get anywhere near the paycheck that a CANELO fight can give you. All right, let's look at the runners and riders. Let's start with the heavyweight first, 175. He has, I think he said this immediately after the fight, that he's happy to stay at 175 and fight those guys, which is just incredible. Let's be honest, if he fights another champion at 175, then I mean, we need to start talking about CANELO as an all-time great. I know people might think that's exaggerating, but if he were to fight a Bertebiev, not a Bivol, but a Bertebiev, and win, I mean, we need to start having a serious fucking conversation, because that will be stupid. He's not going to fight Bertebiev, people. Bertebiev is too fresh, too big, too strong, and can box. Literally, Bertebiev ticks every box right now. I know we saw a little hiccup in the Callum Johnson fight, but I mean, look at that Gvozdyk performance. I mean, he was literally walking Gvozdyk down and smashing him to pieces. I mean, he is way too big and strong for Canelo, way too big. So that fight isn't going to happen. So, and look, I'm not even going to say Canelo's ducking him because it's just, it doesn't even make sense for that fight to happen. Beterbiev in 4 or 5 years, maybe when he's 39, 40. Beterbiev now ain't going to happen. Bivol, Bivol's different. I'm not super high on Bivol yet. I think he's a good boxer, but he's not the biggest guy. I mean, Bivol's talking about, or at least spoken about in the past, about coming down to 168 to fight Callum Smith, which tells you he's not the biggest 175 pounder. I mean, Beterbiev, as an example, could never, ever make 168, right? It's more the other way, him going to cruiserweight. So Bivol isn't the biggest. But again, I'd be shocked if Canelo were to fight a Bivol. Again, Bivol's fresh. It's not like Kovalev, and I don't want to take things away from Canelo's performance against Kovalev, but we haven't seen any slippage whatsoever with Bivol. So I'd be shocked if he fights any of those guys at 175. The only other name I can think of at 175, and this guy didn't do too well when he was fighting in terms of being a pay-per-view draw, but I think of all the names I'm going to mention, the name that I think would generate the most interest, the most buzz, the most talk on Twitter would be Canelo versus Andre Ward. Very far-fetched, I know, but that's the only fight that I think would just do incredible numbers. And that's strange because obviously when Andre Ward was fighting, he didn't do incredible numbers, right? The pay-per-views were never great. He never really sold out arenas, but I think there's a lot of buzz for it now. People are talking about it on Twitter. Andre Ward has been asked about it. He has said on numerous occasions that he got offered a lot of money to come out of retirement. He turned down that money. So it's not about money for him. It's all about money for boxers. It's always about money and legacy. And I guess towards the end of your career, it's more about that last big paycheck. And I think he will look at Canelo, unlike some of the other options he got. The other options were Bellew, Usyk, and Anthony Joshua. None of them like proper options, but people were speaking about those potentials. Canelo's a lot easier in terms of size than all of those guys. I don't think it's going to happen, but I know he's getting an itch. He's talking about it a lot more than he used to. And I feel that fight, if announced, would just smash Twitter, especially for us boxing fans. I mean, come on, let's be honest. If it was announced by DAZN or Golden Boy that Andre Ward is going to come out of retirement, the retired champ, remember, he didn't lose his belts, he just gave them up because he retired, and fight Canelo, it would just be enormous. It would be enormous. The likelihood of it happening is zero. I don't think it's going to happen, but I just want to chuck it out there just because I know some people have been talking about it over Twitter. The more likely fight, and I think the more likely weight, is 168 pounds. There are a couple of options, or 3 options, I think. We're going to talk about all 3 at 168. The first name is probably the most obvious one, and that's Gennady Golovkin, the trilogy. If you're Golovkin, I think going to 168 makes perfect sense. I think he's a dead man walking at 160, and I think he looks awful on the scales. It doesn't help that he's extremely pale, so it makes it look even worse, similar to George Groves. But I mean, I think he's struggling big time at the weight. And I think he wants the opportunity just to kind of rerun that Canelo thing again. He's had 2 questionable decisions, and I think he would like the 3rd one, right? And obviously it pays the biggest check as well. So I think he wants that. I think DAZN would want it. It's an easier fight to make if you're DAZN, right? Canelo and GGG are on the same network, so it's easy to make. I think if you're Canelo, I think you would know that there's been two asterisks when it comes to the GGG fights. And I think he'll look at GGG Derevchenko and think that GGG right now is there for the taking. And he possibly is. I don't think it'll be an easy fight, but he's possibly there for the taking. So I think that's probably the fight that might happen next. I think if it was a case of bookie's favourite, GGG would definitely be a bookie's favourite. Callum Smith's been mentioned as well. He's been speaking about, obviously, this big fight at Anfield. He's got a fight coming up against John Ryder, providing he gets through that safely. A lot of people have been saying Canelo's a 4-weight world champion. I don't agree with that. Obviously, Rocky Fielding was a regular belt. Callum Smith has the real belts, right? And he's the ring recognized #1. If we're talking about cementing legacy, I mean, if he were to fight Callum Smith in a stadium in the UK and be the ring recognized #1 at super middleweight, then fucking hell. I mean, it just becomes silly. I mean, I saw, I think I mentioned this before, but I saw, I think Spencer Fearon and Michael Benson put down Canelo's accolades so far. I mean, if you can add ring recognized #1 at 168 to those accolades, then I mean, again, we've got to start speaking about all-time greats because it's just silly. Another fight people have mentioned at 168 is Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders, like Callum Smith, has a legit belt at 168. He's got the WBO super middleweight title. He's got this ridiculous fight on the KSI versus Logan Paul undercard. Eddie Hearn did say, let's be honest, when he signed with Matchroom and DAZN, Eddie Hearn did say that he will get him the big fights. He said immediately after this one, it's big fight after big fight after big fight. You don't get any bigger fight than Canelo. I think his name is way down the pecking order. A lot of people, and I kind of have gone back and forth with a few people on social media about this. A lot of people think he's the man to cause Canelo trouble. Again, you know, I don't know what we're basing this on. I am a Billy Joe Saunders fan, but I mean, what are we basing this on? Are we basing this off embarrassing David Lemieux a bit? Are we basing this off beating Chris Eubank, which was a split decision? I don't know where we get this from. It's almost the equivalent of someone scoring 30 goals in the championship. This is how much I think it is like this. Someone scoring 30 goals in the championship. This is for football fans, English football fans, and everyone telling me that somehow we can score 20 goals in the Premier League. I need to see what you can do in the Premier League first. And right now, he's not fought Premier League opponents. Demetrius Andrade would have been a good test. That fight didn't happen. Billy Joe Saunders fought. I think Demetrius Andrade said he campaigned for the fight to happen again. Didn't happen. So I need to see him in the Premier League before I start saying he can cause Canelo problems. Canelo has seen every single style. And he's come through it, right? Even the one in which he lost against Floyd, he done well for the first few rounds. I mean, you're not going to tell me that Billy Joe Saunders is more tricky and a better boxer than Lara. That fight was close, but probably beat Lara by, what, a round maybe, or at worst a draw. So I'm not having that he's got the style to beat Canelo. I just don't see it. I don't see it. It's a fight I'd like to see, but I don't see it. At 160, there's probably only one realistic option, and that's Demetrius Andrade. I don't think they're going to go the Derevchenko route. Derevchenko's now lost to a couple of guys, right, in Danny Jacobs and GGG, so I think his name is behind right now. Demetrius Andrade, unbeaten, a 2-weight world champion, 154 and 160. Tricky, southpaw, again, signed to the same network. I just don't see him coming down from 175 to 160. I can't see it. Yes, if he didn't get stripped of the IBF belt, I can understand why he might go for Demetrius Andrade, just to try and do a clean sweep of the division, right, and get all the belts. Now he's been stripped. I don't think he gives a shit about Demetrius Andrade's WBO belt. Doesn't mean anything. And I don't think DAZN thinks think DAZN think it's a big fight. Remember, this guy's getting paid $35 million. They need sign-ups. Does Demetrius Andrade versus Canelo generate sign-ups? I don't think so. I think the ones that generate sign-ups on that list that I've just mentioned are GGG Trilogy. I think people just want to see it again. It's going to be a good fight regardless, right? It's going to be a good fight. The first two fights were fantastic. Bertabiev generates a huge amount of sign-ups, but I don't think it's going to happen. Andre Ward generates huge amounts of sign-ups. It's not going to happen. So I think those two are unrealistic. Callum Smith, maybe, not a major. So I think it's going to be GGG just based on economics, right? Economics. The only thing that's weird is that they'll be fighting and there won't be a belt on the line. So you do wonder if the WBC are going to create some fucking crazy belt. But those are the options. What do you guys think of those options? And who do you want to see most? I can't lie to you. I know it's far-fetched, but I just love the Andre Ward fight. I just love the intrigue. Everything about it I love. The other fights don't excite me that much, if I'm honest with you. But I do expect it to be GGG Trilogy. What do you guys think? Anyway, let me know. Peace.